for the ELT.
I would like also to add my thanks to the rapporteur for his work on this. And I think it's also worthwhile taking a minute or two to think of the victims and their families of this devastating illness. There are many, many lessons that we can learn here in Europe. We were very slow, as the report says, in our actions. Even though the threat to Europe is as great now as it was at the beginning, but we should learn that lesson to be able to react quicker, and I hope we have started on that. The disease itself has had a particular impact in West Africa, in the countries affected, because of cultural norms there that really had to change radically the way they deal with their departed and really deep and at a very trying time for families. They've had to change their cultural practices. And the education to get that through has been difficult, but we're getting there a lot better. Some of the new tech that is coming out is enormously helpful for that. Sending messages by phone to keep washing your hands is a way of reaching people that 10, 15 years ago we could not even have thought about. The trials now for vaccinations are a terrific move forward. Who would have thought? And yet this has come from collaborative work. One of the institutes in my own constituency, the Jenner Institute in Oxford, was working on and is still working on TB and malaria, and some of the systems that they use there and working in developing countries were very easily and quickly able to be transferred over to this research on Ebola. And that research is being done with European funding. So so often the big companies don't do the small and the difficult illness research, but our funding from the European Union has been absolutely critical in moving forward to get these vaccinations. The other stark aspect of this disease is that the very first big victims were the medical health workers, and yet we have Liberia, when this started, had only 51 doctors, and Sierra Leone, with a population of 6 million, only had 136 doctors at the start of the outbreak, and now, of course, they were the doctors and the nurses were in the front line and were decimated. Why do they have so few doctors and nurses in country? It's not because they don't train them, it's because we poach them in the West, they migrate to here, and we have to find a way of supporting their medical health services without sucking them all to Europe or America, where they earn far higher prices, wages, and that is a double whammy to developing countries. The other thing, I think that we made mistakes in going in with big hospitals. Where this has really been effective is in small clinics doing small work. The big hospitals have not been as useful as we tend to think big hospitals are the answer. And that small new tech is exciting. I saw a project this week where they're sending in, again via the telephone networks, to support small clinics with their ordering of their medicines and equipment, and that's a terrific one. But finally, we have to come to the legacy. What lessons can we learn from this? These countries are now in a very, very difficult situation. They have lost crops that haven't been planted. They've lost workers from the fields who would have been out there working. Businesses have stopped. Even the small entrepreneurial type businesses of corner shops and small delivery networks have lost their personnel. This is going to take years for a small country to build up. Other medical programs, measles, polio, have just been suspended, and those are also, we're now seeing a rise of those diseases that we thought we were tackling. And then, of course, we have the legacy of orphans and survivors in decimated communities, and they will need long-term help. And I think another lesson that we must take is the urban nature of this. Slums are a wonderful breeding ground for diseases, and this disease has gone away from every medical intervention. And I think the final thing I want to say is we must look at the causes of this. It's thought that this disease has come from eating bushmeat. Bushmeat is an unsustainable source of protein that most African countries depend on. It's not farmed, it's taken from the wild, it's unsustainable, and it's being shipped into Europe in vast quantities. So we heard this morning from one of our speakers here that Europe is only as strong as its weakest point.